Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to your Tuesday night broadcast. This is the simrigs.com V8 Supercars Amateur Series. Tonight we are coming to you thanks to Dragon RC for round 4 here at Daytona Road, where it is a standing start. This is going to get interesting tonight. As always, you have me, myself, Nathan ShiBBy Howard, and tonight Thomas Preech Riley is back in the comms box with me. How you doing, Preech?
I'm good, thanks, Shibby. Good evening, everyone. It's I had a personal week off last week, but I am back and ready and raring to go. Shibby was saying that last week was an incredible race. So I'm sad that I missed it, but I'm pretty sure that tonight Daytona Road will bring some of the most exciting drafting racing we're ever going to see in a supercars race. So I'm very excited to see how they go around this 5.7 kilometre circuit.
Mate, talking about last week, we'll get back to Daytona because that's where we are tonight. Last week, Virginia International, full course, 24 amateur drivers out on track, and it was nothing but battles non-stop. Carlin Hodgkinson with an absolute banger of a drive to take first place. Marty Hansen, a new driver to the league, come across from the V8 Vets in second place. And Adam Hughes has decided to get away from the Porsche cars and the GT3s and give himself a bit of a go at the supercars, and managed to lock himself into a third place finish. So some awesome driving last week. If you guys have not seen that broadcast yet, go back, check last week's broadcast, have a watch, get on there, support all your favorite drivers. Getting back to Daytona tonight, again, 24 amateur drivers. Although I wouldn't really call them amateurs because I'm pretty sure they'd all beat the pants off me on a track. These guys are absolute solid competitors. Looking at a solid race tonight for Daytona. Again, we're probably going to be watching out for Mr. Tim Nicol, Andrew Cowan, Scotty Rattler Van Loom, little Mr. Ty Delaney. Got himself on the Pro-Ams on Sunday into his first ever top 10 shootout. A mix of Pro and Ams, managed to squeeze into 10th place during the qualifying to actually get him to the shootout. So another young driver to keep their eyes on. Mr. Preech, can you tell us a bit about Daytona and possibility how you think these V8 supercars are going to work around this track?
Look, we'll discuss it more when we get to race start, but standing starts here, I can tell you, are going to be very difficult because with the slight banking that you get through the tri-oval section, it is, if you get any wheel spin, you're going to be going diagonal up the track. I don't know how the guys are going to deal with it, but looking at some of the drivers here, turn 1, you've got to be careful. Left front, inside front is going to be very unweighted the whole way through. And then as you get down to the critical part of the stop, you're still turning all the way through that braking zone. You want to try and straight line it as best you can when you're applying max braking. The cars on the track here are just coming up to the chicane, which I think is another spot where we're going to see a few mistakes, especially inside front locking. Watch for off tracks. Everyone who's raced Daytona knows about the bus stop off tracks, and sometimes they'll be there, sometimes they won't. You'll be very confused. Drafting is going to be most important, I think, around the 2 large bank corners that you'll go around. And then the infield is where we're probably going to see a lot of the overtaking. Like, you can see the benefit of the draft here. I'm not sure if the car in front is on. He's going full throttle, or is doing a little bit of lift and coast, which might be a strategy. Even though it is only a sprint race, there's probably still a requirement to make a pit stop in the second race, just based on fuel tank restrictions. So watch for a little bit of lift and coast around here. Anyone who's done a Daytona 24 knows all about lifting and coasting. So yeah, I think the 2 hairpins are going to be really important spots to watch out for overtakes. The little kink in the infield is difficult in some cars, especially on cold tyres. But I feel like in these cars where there's not a whole lot of downforce, it's not easy. So I haven't driven Daytona in a supercar ever, so I'm just sort of guessing what it's going to be like. From my experience in GT3s and GT4s around here. But Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be interesting, into the hairpins with inside front locking.
Definitely, mate. Well, I'm glad you are the tech guy on this broadcast. I hope everybody out there viewing now understands all of that, with Preech's great explanation on how these cars are going to work around this track. And as he was talking about the embankment and the standing start, this is something I don't even think I've seen anybody practice yet. So everybody is out there cutting laps, but nobody has decided to stop on that embankment and give it a bit of a red hot go to see how a standing start is going to work. We saw in the 86s last week that pretty much the whole field at the same time or fishtailed down to the left and then took off in a sort of straight line. I'm expecting maybe a little bit more of fishtailing from the V8 Supercars. It's definitely going to be tight trying to work that clutch and the accelerator to get away without breaking traction. Looking forwards to tonight. Let's get your standings up after round 3. This is them on screen right now, thanks to simrigs.com for your V8 Supercars Amateur Series. And again, thank you to Dragon RC. Huge shout out to all the drivers on track, as well as all of you out there in the broadcast. We thank you every night for joining us. Standings as of round 3 have Joe Mahoney from Race on Oz leading the way on 381 points. A 12-point gap down into second place with Petar Pavlovich for Century Motorsports in that lovely, delicious KFC machine. And Mr. Scotty Van Loom, Quantum Heckie's Performance Racing. That is a tongue twister and a half. Again, 15 points behind. Bradley Wall in 4th place for Team SRW Motorsports, only 17 points behind. You can see across that standings board that the battles are close, and I think it's going to stay this way throughout the rest of this series.
Yeah, definitely, especially when you consider, so if you're not aware with our point scoring, it's 150 points for a standard round win, and then 5 points back for each position. So when you think about it, that Joe Mahoney and Petar Pavlovich are only basically 3 positions away from each other in a race to switch around or to get a game. That's not a whole lot throughout those top 4 cars. It's maximum of 4 positions difference in the race. So we jump into qualifying now, a 15-minute session. So a little bit shorter. We had the sprint race last week as well, I believe, which would have been no top 10 shootout, just based on server restrictions. You'll see all the cars, they've still got their flashing lights on. It is a pit lane, the pit lane limit, the end of pit lane isn't until you get all the way around inside the wall for what would be turn 1. And then you can gas it up through a little chicane on the run into the International Horseshoe. But it's very confusing because in any other series you'd expect, it to go green flag. You can release the pit limiter as soon as you exit pit lane, the fast lane, like you do in NASCAR, for example, where your speed limit ends. But you got to hold that pit limiter all the way around. So something for the drivers to keep in mind. You've got a pretty good straight approach into pit lane though. When you come off that, what is considered turn 3 and 4 on the oval format. On board here with Joe Mahoney as he comes around turns 1 and 2 of the oval. That's just what I'm going to call it. Oval turns 1 and 2. Up to the bus stop now. Got to be careful on the brakes. You don't want to pinch your rear or even pinch your front. As you trail the car in, use all the curb. Just little dabs of brake there just to try and keep the nose and the balance of the car under control and try and get yourself the best run around the second banking onto where it goes flat again. Bankings around this track are 31 degrees. There's basically, near as makes no difference, 6.5 meters from the bottom of the track to the top of the track across its 40-foot width. There's 2 different measurements, imperial and metric there, but you get what I mean. That's how wide the track is in the bankings. So you're a long way up. It's basically 2 stories, maybe even 3 stories up when you're on the top of the banking. And that can help with getting a run onto that start-finish straight effectively.
This is where we're talking about where the pit lane exit is. It is quite a fair way around. You do have to exit the pit lane and then come through essentially, I would say 2.5, nearly 3 corners before you can actually get on that gas and get out of that pit lane. It is quite a long exit. Also a very tricky spot. As you see those cars coming around, they pull heavily across to the left to get as much traction on the track as possible, which also brings them towards the pit lane exit. You can see them, they swerve across there. Oh! First, and maybe not the last.
Definitely not the last. That's such a difficult corner, even in a GC3 car, not to pick up the rear. So Mahoney here's got 2 greens. Only 5 sectors around this racetrack. 2 greens, 2 purples for him. Onto this long 5th sector now. On the run around the second banking. Staying low so that he doesn't have to climb back up the racetrack, make it a shorter run. Still staying low, hugging the 2, hugging the bottom line there. He's about to come across the line here. And he goes orange in that. But does put in the fastest lap so far of a 44.6. Mason Douglas pops in behind 1.2 seconds back.
Leave Jake Edwards should be, coming across now. Let's get the best times up, shall we? There it is. Andrew Cowan, your not-so-average sim racer, sticking in at 1:45.21. And Ty Delaney as well, getting a nice time in there. Wow, times are flying in. That board is just swapping positions as we see. I think that might have been Andrew Cowan slide off the edge of the track then. Must have been happy with his 1:45. Mahoney out there with a blistering 1:44 though, so still a bit of time for these guys to catch up. Only a 15-minute qualifying session tonight. And then a 20-minute race and a 40-minute race. It is a sprint session. Just trying. Take over for a second, mate. Just trying to get my list up.
Half a second from Mahoney to Bowie at the moment at the top of the timing board. Ty Delaney's pumped in a fastest second sector. Not quite there on the third with his best time. We do have, 24 drivers on the grid. So big grid tonight. I think it's 24, maybe it's only 22 with a couple of safety car drivers in there from race control.
So it is 22, mate. Yep. And our race stewards, thanks to them, Tyson McAvoy and Stefan McCartain tonight. But yes, 22 drivers should be good. Anyway, I've got my little document up that I was looking for. I want to say huge thanks to Warren and Brown tonight. Tonight is your Racecraft qualifying. Thank you so much to Racecraft for getting on board and sponsoring our qualifying session. Thanks to Grim Industries as well. Go and check them out. They're doing something really special for our trophies for Season 4 and Season 1. And they're going to be our trophy sponsors for the rest of the seasons upcoming. There's going to be some photos posted on our socials very soon once they're complete to give you guys a bit of a taste tester. Also, thank you so much to Toyo Sim and Racecraft. That's what I need. I need my little list. I've written a list. You see that? Look at me go.
Good. So good. So professional.
I know, man. I'm doing what I can here. Doing what I can. Right, we've got 22 on track. Let's get the 10 off screen and get the 22 popping up so you can all see that. 2 guys. Now Ty Delaney has come in with the exact same time as Joe Mahoney. Both sitting on 1:44.66s. Absolute screaming time from these two, what we call the amateur series. You know any of these other names, mate, that we should probably keep an eye on, even though if they don't run a fast qualifying, you know, they can always be quick in a race.
I mean, the gaps are so small, so I can't really pick. And the one thing to remember, it's Daytona. So drafting is huge. So, you know, you can still be sitting, you know, down in, you know, 8th, 9th, 10th. And, you know, by the end of the first lap, you could be leading just based on draft. So who knows what's going to happen in the race. I feel like qualifying here is really just to get yourself a clean run into turn 1. And then it's really just who's good around the infield and who can get the run onto the first banking. That's really probably the most important thing to consider for these drivers. Turn 6 is the last corner of the infield. We're on board here with who are we on board with?
Mr. Adam Hughes.
Adam Hughes. So as he comes around the west horseshoe, as it's sometimes described, and then up to turn 6 here. A difficult braking zone because the corner sort of doesn't look that tight, and then it opens up on the exit. But you don't want to be running up too high up the banking because you'll lose some of your speed. But if you run too low, you're tightening the corner, and especially at critical shift points, you might break in a little bit of wheel spin and lose the rear a bit. As he runs up now, up close to the wall. Braking just after the 2. It's a curb, nicely inside track limits there. And then hugging the line at the bottom where the apron is. You can see some of the speeds there. 311 from Scott Weston. These cars are absolutely tuned for straight line speed. They'll be running no wing, if any. Probably running minimal toe, so you don't get much scrubbing, which will hurt your turn into these corners. But you can see there, left front locking, heading into turn 1. They're just chasing the rear a little bit. It gets unstable over the bumps and off the banking there. It's not as banked in the tri-oval as it is in the main banked corners, but will still have an impact on how you drive the car into turn 1.
The inner track is relatively flat across once they get off the off-round turn 1. There's really not too much elevation across the corners, like as you can see from these shots now. It's probably one of the flatter inner fields of tracks, apart from as soon as you head out onto the embankments and you jump straight to 31 degrees. So very interesting.
It's still not a perfectly flat track like you'll see it, for example, Indy. Yeah, as you can see there, he just pulled probably a gear and lost the rear a little bit and had to catch it. So that'll impact his lap times around through this part of the track. And he's sitting sort of about, I'd almost say half a car's width up off that yellow line, which you want to be running around because that's where you can find your speed. He's got a lot of rearward brake bias. You can just see the car just trying to rotate a little bit. It's just sort of itching left and right in the rear. So, but that also comes with no downforce in the rear effectively. So that is definitely something to consider.
So while we've been having a bit of a discussion, Mr. Adam Hughes has, oh gosh, Taylor, you must have realised you were on the broadcast, mate, and got a little bit camera shy. But Adam Hughes has popped himself up into the provisional third at the moment with a 144.88. But if you can see the rest of those times, that is ridiculous. There is within 2 seconds across the whole field at this moment. And on a racetrack, 2 seconds is not much.
Definitely not. I'm really interested to see Ty Delaney is 9 kilometres an hour faster through the speed trap than Joe Mahoney. And that's a lot when you consider, you know, where that speed trap is. I'm not entirely sure where it is. I'm sure we can find out on a track map at some stage exactly where it's located. But 9 kilometres an hour, that's probably the difference with a draft. So Joe Mahoney's done a great lap and probably has found all of his time in the midfield Jason Douglas comes across the line there, jumps up to 4th spot on a 45-1 and decides that'll do me for now. He'll be tight getting in and out again, but I'm sure he'll get across the line. I'm not sure if there is time on in this session with regards to qualifying.
Rick Vigor just jumps him and knocks him down by 10th of a hundredth. Jeez, a tenth of a second. Yeah,
tenth of a second.
Oh my lord! So he did a 145 flat, and Jason Douglas did a 145.18. So you can see just how close these drivers are. 6th and 7th are both sitting on 145.2. So everybody is super close at this moment. The speed trap you're talking about, mate. In iRacing, I don't believe there is a set speed trap. It is just the maximum speed you hit across the track.
Right. So if I'm reading that right, Andrew Cowan has hit 720 kilometres an hour.
What? Oh, it does say 720.
So either he's gone to the moon or he's put a jet engine in the front of his ZB Commodore.
It does say 720. I wonder if he's hit a wall.
Up to the top.
Oh, did he?
44.4.
44.43. Wow, solid lap there from the performance sim racing driver.
You know what? I'll watch out for Cowie here because he might have the draft from his teammate in front.
Well, with 720 kilometres an hour. Oh, okay, it's fixed. It's fixed itself. Yeah. I wonder if he hit a wall and got launched. You know, when you hit a wall in iRacing and it just absolutely springs you into the air. I wonder if it's registered as the car moving. Wow, 720 kilometres an hour. That's so. Travis Daly, provisional pole sitter at the moment. This looks like this will be the final lap. The only person so far, car number 28, Callan Hodgkinson, will come across the finish line. But I do believe this is a timed session, so this will be the last couple of seconds these guys will get. Before we move on to our feature race tonight for your simrigs.com V8 Supercars Amateur Series. And I shouted out Dragon RC as the round sponsor, and I've got it all wrong. I'm very sorry. It's Warren and Brown tonight. Thanks to Warren and Brown for sponsoring our round 4 tonight here at Daytona Road. Dragon RC do our Simrigs V8 Supercars Pro Am Series. But yes, thank you so much to all our sponsors. And that is it. Travis Daly with a last-minute lap comes through to take your racecraft qualifying session and takes the racecraft pole position tonight. Huge shout-out to Racecraft for getting on board for that as well. Let's get our grid up, shall we? Getting too excited about talking about our sponsors. Can you see that, Thomas?
I can. Starting in on the pole with a cracking lap time of a 44.432 is Travis Daly. Joe Mahoney starts in second, our championship leader. Ty Delaney in third. Adam Hughes, Rick Vigor, Jason Douglas, Andrew Cowan, Marty Hanson, Scotty Rattler, and Scott Weston is the top 10. Bradley Wall for Team SW Motorsports. And then Mark Peck, Jake Edwards, Brett Taylor, Troy Sipple, Scott Perrins, Petar Pavlovich, Callan Hodgkinson, Steven Sinkovic up in 19th, well done, and Travis Nielsen in 20th, and then a couple of drivers who I don't think set times in Tim Nicol and Mark Turner. So I'd be watching for Tim Nicol if he does grid up here to be a smoky starting off the back of the grid. We shouldn't be too far away from a green light. I think that counter has to hit 2 minutes, but we shouldn't be too far away from that. So definitely watch out for, we got Scotty Van Loon, who hasn't quite gridded up yet. He has now. And we're just waiting on Callan Hodgkinson and I think Mark Turner down in 18th and 22nd to grid up, and then we will be ready for the green light. But definitely watch out for these cars off the start. It's you can see there's no grid boxes, but these cars will be a handful to start off with.
Place your bets. How many spin on the start line? going to say
how many points up to the other line?
70%
Anyway,
of
lights are on here. 3, 4, 5 red lights, and they're away. And you can see straight away,
wow.
Travis Daly is bogged down. Adam Hughes has cut down to the bottom of the track onto the apron there. As we run down into one on Cowie's involved. There's been 2 cars. He keeps moving. He might be able to stay green, but Rick Vigor and Andrew Cowan were both involved in that. It might have just been a bit of a bottleneck there. Running down into the International Horseshoe here, you can see Travis Daly's dropped down to 6th after that terrible start. Just dropped the clutch, got too much wheel spin. You could see the car try and walk its way up the track. Sorry, it walked itself down sideways, backwards towards the apron. That's how physics works. Through the kink here. Move here for, I think that's Bradley Wall up the inside.
Yep, of Jake Edwards there.
Sipple gets past his teammate. So they run up to turn 6 now.
Yeah, I've got to focus a little bit here. There's so much going on. So, Travis Daly was the only one on track to actually not have the smoothest takeoff there. And as my co-commentator, as we call you, Travis Thomas, did say that he did drop back into 6th place. Jason Douglas and Adam Hughes battling away through the bus stop. Very dangerous spot to be side by side in the V8 Supercars. Keep an eye on those times.
So Delaney's going to try and capitalise here with the draft. So they make the run up to the tri-oval now, up the start-finish line. Adam Hughes has dropped out of it. He doesn't have the draft, but Ty Delaney and Jason Douglas both get past him. Run up here now. Jason Douglas goes defensive. Oh, there's a lock rear for Travis Daly. Just saw him pinch the rear. Manages to catch it, luckily. We run up now to the International Horseshoe. That fishy car looking splendid as always. Oh, picks up the throttle a bit too early. Invites Adam Hughes in through the kink here. Not going to get an overtake done. Just breathes the throttle. Takes a lot of curb there. Up to turn 5 now. Couple of locked right fronts. It was Ty Delaney who was locking a front there. Sorry, Jason Douglas was locking a front there. And Marnie just hasn't been able to open up a gap too much. With a bit of the slipstream helping out there.
Look at this train of drivers, and this is why the amateur league is so good. They just sit right on top of each other, just like Brett Taylor. Oh, no, he was right on the back of Mr. Tim Nichols. And as we switch, he has just managed to get on the gas a little too hard. But we've got Callan Hodgkinson, last round's winner. And look at that train in front of him. He's definitely going to want to get around Tim Nichols as soon as possible. And here comes that draft again. Nice and smooth through here. Troy Sipple is also on the back of Bradley Wall, just up ahead of them. This is going to be one heck of a night, Thomas. I hope you are ready to lose your voice.
Yes, I am, I think. Jason Douglas and Joe Mahoney are going for it at the front. Jason Douglas has got past, so a fast lap of the race so far.
As we see Sipple make the move around Wall into turn 1. He is on the outside line. Will he get the run out of this and hold that as they come through? And he will.
Just had the position there. Bradley Wall just had to use a little dab of the brakes there to tuck back in behind. It's difficult to run 2 cars through there in GT3s. We got a bit more downforce, but these cars obviously not running any rear wing pretty much tonight. Joe Mahoney got past again. Ty Delaney's now right on the back of this. So this is fight for the lead with all cars involved. Is that Adam Hughes diving up the inside of Ty Delaney there, trying to make a move.
Nielsen
Can't quite make it.
It's 2 Travises. Jeez Louise.
Love the sound of these V8s at flat chat around the banking. See Mahoney there just going defensive on the run up to the bus stop and tucking back onto the line. I like that Blacktown Mazda delivery. That looks lovely. I think that's Marty Hanson's car.
Rick Vigor making a move around Cullen Hodgkinson right before the bus stop. Real gutsy move there into such a hard braking zone, especially to pull that car up and get that through that corner. Hanson, back at Daly, Douglas, Delaney. So many battles going on field. 3 wide from position 1, 2, 3 right now as they scream down to P1. Turn 1. Locking up.
Oh, big lock up. He's run deep. Just pulled it up before he goes in the tyre wall. Needs to rejoin carefully. I think he's done that.
Yep.
Oh, it's a bit of a bottleneck there on his run off. Watch it. Where's he going to come out? Manages to pull it up, save it. Luckily, it's always a scary moment when a car gets on the grass there. It's one of those things, I think, if you think back in real life supercars, back to, I think it was, 2013, 2014 at, there was one at 2012 as well at Phillip Island. Will Davison got pushed out onto the grass and ended up T-boning into his best friend, Jamie Wincup, and then we had the same thing happen when Alexander Premat went off into the grass and was sideways and rear end into driver's door of James Courtney's car down at so it's now called Miller Corner at Phillip Island, but the same sort of idea there. Just got to be really careful when the cars get on the grass there. Alini Group. Who's this? So Peck there. Probably got himself a little bit unsettled when he went down all the way onto the apron and was sort of straddling that apron line. It's not the fastest way around the banking. You're asking too much of your left-hand tyres there to do turning and also to compensate with a fair bit of load going through that side of the car. You scrub a bit of speed there. You want to use the banking to reduce that steering angle so you can get as much speed as you can running all the way around the banking. Petar Pavlovic here now on his outside. Drivers are definitely giving each other a lot of space around the banking. I wouldn't be so nice. I'd run a little bit closer, try and get a benefit of a side draft all the way around.
Oh, Sipple has got around Hanson, made the move. This pack from first down to 11th is still sitting on top of each other. Jason Douglas, after his little side off track, has worked his way back up into third and managed to get around Ty Delaney now.
I think Ty Delaney had to catch it there. I feel like there might have been contact just on the exit of the kink, and he had to catch a little bit of the car. They ran side by side through the kink, which is ballsy to say the least, but these guys are not giving up on battling for that lead. We're only just over 8 minutes into this race, and I don't even want to know how many overtakes we've had. I know it was a way to track just how many overtakes we've seen.
There is more that have happened that we've been able to show on the broadcast. They are happening left, right, and centre as Nickel and Wall side by side. Mr. Jet Murray, thanks for tuning in, legend. Jet has actually shouted out myself, I believe. He said, "Who is the new commentator? I like him." It's definitely me.
Yes, definitely you. It's not like you've been consistent for the last couple of seasons, is it?
No, I'm never here. Mate, this is Thomas Riley, a.k.a. Preacher or Preech. Which one do you prefer, Preech or Preacher?
Preech, probably just in general conversation.
General conversation. Well, there you go, Jet Murray. Thanks for tuning in as we see Pavlovic try and take Bradley Wall. Two different lines through there. You see Peter Pavlovic go a lot wider to try and get an earlier cut in, while Bradley stayed a lot tighter to try and block that run. But you can see Petar coming hard for him.
Oh, pinches a rear. You can see how the car was wanting to rotate. That comes down to not having a whole lot of downforce on the cars. Even though these rear wings aren't super effective, they are relative to other forms of motorsport with big rear wings. Yeah, it certainly does a lot for balance of the car into braking zones. Jason Douglas is in front of Adam Hughes, but I would expect that to change possibly on the run down the start, up to the start-finish line.
Look at how close these AM drivers are. Nothing in it between the top 16. Still anybody's game. Ty Delaney, I think, will get a good run off Adam Hughes here. Just got to watch the braking section here through the bus stop. If he gets a good run out of here, definitely will have the draft on top of Adam.
I think he got as good as exit as he would have been hoping. It's now really down to how much of the draft he can use, how much downforce. He's running differently to Adam Hughes. The gap is coming down, not overly quick. He's taken a 10th and a half out of him though. Scotty Rattler, Van Loon right up behind Jake Edwards. Decides to go to the outside, which can work if you can hang it around there. Turns in a little early. Probably just has to open up the steering just a little bit. Travis Daly there ran a little bit deep, and you know, after starting on pole, he's down into 8th spot. So this is probably a bit of a recovery drive from him now.
This is what we say. You can set a quick time in qualifying and be pole position. And you can also not be so quick in the race, and then you can set a not a very fast time in qualifying, but be extremely fast in the race. But Hughes, Delaney, Edwards, Douglas, all on top of each other right now. If you guys have not shared this stream with your friends, family, sim racing groups you're involved in, get them over here now to cheer your teams on. Sprint rounds are extremely exciting as we are 12 minutes in through our Heat 1.
Ty Delaney going around the outside. There'll be battle on the brakes. Ty just cuts across, takes the position.
Great move by Ty.
Yeah, was just a little bit later on the brakes. Was able to beat, given his line into the corner. But I think that might have come down to a little bit of Adam Hughes just going, nah, you're ballsy enough to send it in that deep. I'll let you have it.
There was
for that.
2 cars gone off track. So it looks like Bradley Wall and Rick Vigor have managed to slide off track, and they've both dropped a lot of positions there. Mark Peck.
Mark Peck there, yeah.
Troy Sipple, Van Loom, there has been an incident. There has been an incident that does unfortunately look like a team incident.
I hope that wasn't a car rejoining there. 014 under investigation from race control. That's Rick Vigor.
So I think that may have had to do with what happened with Bradley Wall and Rick Vigor. Let's quickly get a replay while we have time. Oh, that's a replay of them just hitting the wall.
So the bus stop. So I wonder if there was a bit of a, a bit of a move attempted. Here we go. So Rick Vigor, he's just
right across onto the grass.
Narrow there. He's got his line a little bit wrong, and basically pile drive Bradley Wall through the first section of the chicane there. So that'll get the eye of race control. We've already seen. Travis Daly, though, puts himself up in a 6th spot now. Tim Nicol. It's close, but he does get the run out of the chicane. He's going to tuck back in and use it now. He's going to tuck back in. No, he's going to go for it early. He sits, about a car's width high off Scott Weston. As he comes back down, you can see the side draft taking effect. And Scott Weston is in behind, so he doesn't really have anywhere to go because he was gaining the whole time on Travis Daly. And Tim Nicol has managed to get himself all the way up in a 6th spot. He's up 15 positions in less than 15 minutes.
What a solid drive. And if you saw there too, Marty Hansen managed to sneak himself away around there as we get back onto the front runners. Douglas has got around Mahoney But Mahoney doesn't want to give this race up, with Hughes making a big move down the left-hand side. Ty Delaney still on the back of them, and Jake Edwards is in there as well. We have Scotty Rattler Van Loon into the pits. Wonder if that was to do. He has had an off-track possibility.
That was probably down to the damage with his
teammate. That's right.
Yeah, through turns 2 and 3.
Get a replay of that soon. Callan Hodgkinson making moves around Petar Pavlovich. Right on the back of Mark Peck now. Pavlovich trying to use that draft. Three-way train. Careful, boys. Oh, Pavlovich.
He's up in the wall.
This is some real NASCAR-style racing here. Pavlovich had to back
not
off.
NASCAR until we see some bump drafting.
Pavlovich making the move, and he's got it stuck around Callan Hodgkinson there.
It's a great opportunistic move. I think Callan just got not an ideal run. So we're on board here with Marty Hansen and Travis Daly going at it on the run up to the start-finish straight. Try and hang it around the outside. Travis Daly tries to run it in. There's contact. It's pushed one car off, 2 cars off in all that. So both of them being disadvantaged there. Oh, just saves it. Good catch. But Marty Hansen's got Scott Weston in behind him. Oh, Marty's gone deep. Travis Daly drives it off the corner. And we side by side up through the kink here. No. Travis just decides to tuck back in. We're turn 5 here now.
Callan Hodgkinson not wanting to let those positions get away from him. Still in a heated battle with Mark Peck and Petar Pavlovich.
Mark Peck there was looking to do a bit of a switchback, which is difficult around that corner because it's kind of wide open, but you cut back down and you run all the way along the curb. So that's normally the fastest racing line, but coming from a wider position, it's a weird braking zone because the corner has sort of already started. It's already starting to turn as you come through the kink, and you sort of straight line it across a little tiny, like it's very minute, but there's a little kink, and you straight line it, you know, in about a car's width into the center of the track and then back out again. And that makes it really difficult to get a good braking done. Look here, Ty Delaney up the inside, running side by side. Yep, good through there.
Used to take nice that position off at Adam Hughes for third place.
Comes back at him in all that. So, but it's on here. The top 5 are all nose to tail. There's a car up in the dirt. Is he going to be able to pull it up?
It's Jake Edwards.
Oh, he's off track and he manages to hold the inside line and still hold on to the position somehow.
Unfortunately, that has bumped Delaney down into 5th.
I think he might have been flashing his teammate there in all of that. Probably wouldn't have been very kosher, so wouldn't want to jump in a voice call with them at the moment because I think maybe there's a bit of what are you doing, mate? What was all that for? They're falling off the back of this.
Still pushing Edwards. Delaney is going to fight for that position back. Very low line through there. Edwards gets a bit squirrely, and that allows Delaney to take that position without much of a fight. I do really want to see what happened between Scotty Rattler Van Loon and his teammate. But there is too much going on at this point of time. Hughes chasing down Mahoney now. Jason Douglas is starting to pull a gap. Oh, wow. Scotty Weston.
That gap was out at 1.1 when they were in the infield, and it's already come back down. So if Joe can get the benefit of the draft here, and if Adam Hughes decides, you know what, let's try and work together here and try and get back up to the back of them, but he's got such a strong draft at the moment. The gap's at 1, just opening up again. Yeah, here we go. So he's sitting in behind. Maybe there's a bit of bump draft effect going on here. Trying to help each other out. We've got the white flag, so this is the last lap of our heat race. Jake just as they're hanging around the outside. I got the cars wrong there. We saw 014 who had a pit lane drive-through penalty for contact causing a disadvantage come up on the screen before. We didn't highlight that. That was for Rick Vigor, which would have been the contact into the bus stop chicane. Adam Hughes and Joe Marty here battling it out. I think that Jason Douglas might just have enough here, especially if Adam Hughes decides, nah, you know what, I'm battling you for it.
Plenty of points up for grabs tonight, so I can't see why it wouldn't be worth battling for it. They're coming towards the finish, though, for your heat race tonight. Hodgkinson might have binned it in the back, up 5 positions with the bus stop here. Jason Douglas leading the way, but Hughes is right on the back.
Hughes is in the better spot here. Hughes just needs to sit in behind. Maybe use a little bit of bump draft. Don't go for the move too early. It's a bit like NASCAR. You don't want to go to the move until you're coming around the last corner. And I think Hughes is going to have it. Is he? No. Oh, it's Marty at the line.
What? Oh, no.
By 100th of a second. Nose to tail. Oh, it's so close. It's by a nose.
Finish. Go back live, please. Thank you. What an apt cracker of a finish. That could have been anyone's race. That is the heat race tonight. For your simrigs.com V8 Supercars Amateur Series. We will be getting your race winner, Jason Douglas, up into the comms box with us any second. Your race 1 winner. We will be moving on to the feature 40-minute race this evening. If that's what 20 minutes brings us, imagine if we double that and throw a pit stop in there as well. I do believe a lot of these drivers would have been very close to the end of their fuel limit. Do you know what the fuel cap is tonight, mate? I should know this. 55% fuel restriction, so usually that is between 18 and 22 minutes of racing in these V8 supercars. So we're definitely going to be seeing at least one stop during the feature race tonight. Your Heat 1 results are Jason Douglas takes out the win for LMR Esports. Joe Mahoney in a really good spot in second place for Race on Oz. Adam Hughes in P3, Jake Edwards in P4, 2 crisscross racing drivers up there, which has been really good to see. Jake Edwards seems to be improving, maybe feeling a little bit more confident on the track, knowing he has a teammate out there nowadays. Ty Delaney, phenomenal drive from a junior Delaney, being only 13 years of age, up there in 5th spot. Absolutely killing it for the Fishy Motorsports. Tim Nichols with a solid drive as well for Quantum Pecky's Performance Racing up in 6th. Marty Hansen will take 7th place for Taipan Esports. Travis Daly, who started on pole, didn't have the best race but has managed to lock in 8th position for Performance Sim Racing. Scott Weston in 9th. Petar Pavlovich in that yummy KFC entry will take out 10th place. This is a reverse top 10 for the next grid, so Petar Pavlovich will be on pole. Scott Weston will line up next to him, so that is going to make this start even more interesting than our first one. If you've only just tuned in, this is simrigs.com V8 Supercars Amateur Series here at Daytona Road, and it will be another standing start for the second time this evening as we get into a practice session. 10 minutes of practice. It looks like a great start, I must say, for the V8 Supercars off a standing start at 31 degrees. I definitely expected more than one car to go around, and they all had a great start.
I think it's only about 12 degrees of banking in the tri-oval, but even then, that's probably, 10, 12 degrees more than what they'd expected any other track. Laterally, probably nose to tail, you'd expect there's some tracks that have a pretty steep start grid. Thinking Spa from round one, where we use the classic layout, which, downhill start. As we get Jason Douglas in here, mate, well done. Good result in that last race. Give us your thoughts, and how much drafting practice did you do?
So I only did one practice session this afternoon, and that was it.
Well, that's a lot more than I've ever done, but that sounds like quite a little for a race winner. So you've got some natural pace there, mate. How are you going with fuel in that last race? We know it's about 18 to 22 minutes of fuel load you've got. A 20-minute race around here, which is high throttle percentage. How are you looking on fuel? Did you have to do any lift and coast?
No, just kept it flat, and as soon as I crossed the line, I had 2.1 estimated laps remaining. So yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, that's a pretty good amount. So, what's your plans moving into this next race, mate? I think you're starting off the back of the 10, so with a reverse grid. So, what's your plan?
Just eyes forward and hope Jet can coach me through.
Yeah, nice, mate. Good person having your spotters booth. Well done, mate. Hopefully we can see you charge your way through the field with a bit of slipstream help and get you back on the podium.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you. And thanks to Jet too for coming in and spotting me for the last 5 laps to go. So thanks, bro.
Awesome, mate. Good luck for the feature race, 40 minutes, and see if we don't speak to you at the end.
Yeah, I hope so. Hope I can bring it back. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Probably should have used that time to maybe ask him about what the fuel burn is, but I am learning with the V8 Supercars. We will be watching for that 18 to 22 minute mark of this next race to see when people start pitting. Will someone try an undercut? Will someone try the overcut? Will the whole field pit at the one time? That we will find out in the next 5 minutes. There we go. Mr. Bradley Wall has tuned in and let us know 4.4 litres per lap is what they're burning. That is a very expensive hobby.
Definitely. I filled up my car today. It was diesel and it was charging me $1.99.9 per litre. So that's a fairly expensive hobby, this. Drive around Daytona. We did hear Jason, though, say that he crossed the line and he had 2.1 laps of fuel remaining. So that goes to tell me that, yeah, probably around the 22-minute mark. But I feel like we're going to see a bit more strategy in this next race in terms of deciding to sit in behind and just use the draft to your advantage to extend that fuel load. Given how much draft benefit you get, you could be almost 1.8 seconds back and still have a slight benefit of the draft. So I'd imagine that we're going to see a little bit more strategy, probably not as balls to the wall as what we saw in that sprint race where fuel load probably wasn't as important. But, if you're up the front, do you want to be running the clean line the whole time? Do you want that clean air for your overall pace, or are you better off sitting in behind someone, opting to use them as, someone to punch the hole in the air and give yourself a little bit of a chance on with a bit of lift and coast or a little bit of, half throttle percentage just to keep yourself coasting around and try and extend your fuel stint by as long as you can, given how much of this track is open throttle. Do we see some of the oval tactics come in where, you'll sit in behind and then all of a sudden you'll decide to go for it because you feel like you've got pace to burn it'll be really down to tyre life and how willing these drivers are to throw caution to the wind and just go for it. So I think if you're further back in the pack, you'll aim to sit there, just slowly move yourself forward based on other drivers' mistakes. But if you're up the front, I feel like you just got to go for it and just hope that, you get a safety car or something that'll help you save a bit of fuel. That's one thing we didn't have in the last race, was any safety cars to sort of skew our fuel numbers. And I feel like saving around here in a safety car is critical, as is every track, but definitely here where you've got so much time at wide open throttle, burning all the fuel that you're carrying. So I don't know, it'd be interesting to see what strategy plays out in this next race, mate.
It definitely will. Pit strategies always make a race. I just find them just that little bit more entertaining, trying to work out which driver is going to do what and when they're going to do it, because it just changes the dynamics of a race within an instant. One guy could pit one lap and then 4 people follow him in. That pit strategy could be blown out the water. It doesn't work for all four of them. 2 laps, 3 laps later, 4 people, 3 people pit, and then all of a sudden they're just out in front. It's just mind-blowing the way a pit stop can change the dynamics completely for drivers. We've seen drivers take pit stops 6 laps earlier. We saw it in the 86s where John McHenry took a lucky pit stop with a safety car 6 laps before everybody else, managed to race from P15 to take the win on P1 just off that pit strategy. So that shows what a well-timed pit stop can do. It always gets me excited. I don't know why the pit stops are the most exciting part, but mate, I do love that strategy part of this. I was going to call it a game. It's not a game. It is a simulator. And I think it's one of my favorite things in real life racing as well, is trying to guess and work out how the teams are going to play that pit stop card.
I mean, we saw it on the weekend. If you watched any of the Perth Super Sprint and the supercars, like, that track is so abrasive on tyres that the strategy was so, the undercut was a huge benefit, but even a lap difference and your tyre life at the end of the stint can just fall off a cliff out of nowhere. So we don't quite see that sort of deterioration as Steven Sinkovich tries to do his best expression session into the bus stop, and has a typical bus stop moment where you lose the rear running through there. So yeah, it's difficult to predict what guys are going to do. I mean, I was going to bring up the whole point of oval pit strategy, which is different again, in the sense that you want to pit with other people. I'll discuss that later when we get to the pit stops. But Pavel Pavlovich starts out of P1 with a reverse top 10. Scott Weston, Travis Daly, our previous pole sitter, he'll be hoping for a better start this time. Marty Hansen, Tim Nicol, Ty Delaney, Jake Edwards, Adam Hughes, Joe Mahoney, and the sprint race winner, Jason Douglas. Troy Sipple in 11th. From 11th down is exactly where he finished in the last race. So, Troy Sipple in 11. What have we got? Mark Peck in 12th. Callan Hodgkinson in 13th. Bradley Wall, Andrew Cowan, who's definitely further down the field than he'd like to be, down in 15th, was involved in that before turn 1 incident in the last race. Brett Taylor in 16th. Steven Sinkovich in 17th. Scott Perrins, Travis Nielsen, Rick Vigor, who was involved in a couple of little accidents. And then Scotty Van Loon will round out the 21 cars that I believe are starting this race as we get lights ready to go. 3, 4, 5 lights, and they're away, and there's a little bit of a wheel spin back there, but that's one of the fishy cars, I think, making a great start, diving through the middle of 2 cars, run down into turn 1 here. Pavel Pavlovich has had to give up the lead. And that'll mean that Scott Weston leads them through up to the international hairpin for the first time of our 40-minute race tonight. Down on the brakes. Oh, a little bit of a look there. 3 wide further back. Steven Sinkovich has just been pushed out wide through all of that. Running through the kink now up to the western hairpin. Joe Mahoney's dropped down 2 spots into 11th at the moment. Andrew Cowan's already up.
Sipple just off the side of the track there into the tyres behind us.
Yep. So I wonder if that might have been either a bit of contact or being a bit eager on the throttle and having to overcorrect, and then a car bites and spits you out to the left. I've done that in GT3s, funnily enough, when you've got traction control. And that's quite unfortunate. Travis Daly here looking for a move around the outside of Ty Delaney. That tucks back in.
Opposite way, actually. Ty Delaney just managed to get his nose in front of Daly and take P5 off him there. And then Daly was trying to get that draft to get back at him. Through the bus stop we go, as a huge train of cars for your simrigs.com V8 Supercars Amateur Series. And tonight, these guys are definitely not making it look like they're amateurs. And we see Marty Hansen and Petar Pavlovich side by side with Tim Nichols, maybe going 3 wide.
Looking for a gap. And it's smarter here if Tim just sits in behind. Tries to follow. Oh, Petar going for a move. Up the inside on the brakes. He's locked the left front. He's going wide. Both of them have gone wide. And Tim Nichols surged to the front of this pack. Look through that. Ty Delaney is just absolutely snapping at the bit here to get through.
It's Travis Daly in there as
showing
well.
the nose.
Jake Edwards, Jason Douglas. This is your amateur series, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Wow, there's battles all across the field as we see Hughes, big lock up, Douglas, and Edwards off the track. Edwards is still trying to get control of that beast that is the V8 Supercar. Brett Taylor has managed to get around Jason Douglas there as well, move himself up into 13th. Daly on the back of Weston here. Love the gyro view on the banked corners. You can see just how much it moves. Daly with a good run using that draft to come up to the bus stop. He's going to brake a little bit earlier.
Good smarter spot to be. Brake earlier. Carry more speed in the end on the exit. Just going to go high line. Just going to give him a fair margin there. Just going to sit in the middle of the track. Don't normally see 3 lines around this track. Jason Douglas is under investigation, so that would have been in the contact with Jake Edwards that we saw at the Western Hairpin. Western Horseshoe, if you want to call it that. And the brakes here, Travis Daly will stay in front, but Scott Weston will look to come back at him through the apex as they run deep. 2 cars run deep there.
Adam Hughes that have gone deep and off the side of the track. That has brought Andrew Cowan. You can see the rear of his car, though, really struggling to get grip as he puts it under power. So maybe he's not feeling the setup tonight, or it's just not well tweaked. But Pavlovich making that move around Marty Hansen to get himself back up into P3. Hansen, big lock up from the left rear there. Oh, no.
I think it was left front, but
I think I've jinxed Cowan. Cowan is off the track and dropping positions like no tomorrow.
Oh, no.
He is down into 20th.
I wonder if that was through the kink.
We'll get a quick replay any second now. Want to see how Hansen reacts to Pavlovich taking him. Let's see if he can use the draft to his advantage. We are coming down towards the bus stop again. Heavy braking zone. Very fast speeds through here.
You really need to have the overlap before you come off the banking to really make that move work into the hairpin, because you want to try and use the side draft so you can sit as far in front of the other car as you can, or at least as far alongside, so that you're entitled to all of the racing room that you can be. And if you're really gunning for a move, you just go for it.
Like
you brake as late as you dare. Van Loon here, looking around the outside.
Looked like he
pushed Nielsen.
Bus stop. Hughes is around Mahoney as well.
Douglas is pitting.
So I believe there might have that could have been a drive-through as we see Edwards up the inside. Contact with Van Loon. Edwards is around. There was 4 cars all crammed into turn 1 there. Tim Nicol has just set the best lap of the race with a 1:45.50.
Got that gap out to over 1.9 seconds.
Oh, Hansen, another big lock-up. That has brought Ty Delaney onto the back. Hansen has got around Pavlovich. Delaney.
Not yet, he hasn't. Pavlovich is going to stick it up the inside. Pavlovich runs deep, though. Just runs it past the apex. That invites Hansen up the inside. So he hit the banking now. This is where Hansen needs to be. He needs to be on the left-hand side, running around the banking. A little bit of a quicker line. Pavlovich needs to try and duck down as quick as he can, but Delaney is gaining too quickly. Delaney goes left. He makes it 3 wide on the run up to the bus stop. Who's going to bail out first? Delaney sends it in. Oh, rotates the rear. He's going to get a contact. Holds on, but Pavlovich is going to come back at him now through this second banking here. Cars are stacking up behind. Pavlovich pulls out. He tries and sit just off his quarter. Gets back underneath him. Tries to get the benefit of the draft, but that's inviting.
Look at Daly. Look at the speed he's carrying through there.
Across the start-finish line. Oh, so close. Pavlovich gets more on the brakes. Oh, Daly's locked the rears.
Well done to Delaney, Pavlovich and Hansen for actually seeing that happen in front of them and staying far left to keep themselves out of it. I don't know where to look. Look at this train of cars. This is your top 10 right here, right now.
And all this is doing is Tim Nicol is now off the hook.
He's gone.
4.5 seconds up the road.
4.5 seconds just left this pack.
That's exactly what you want. You want to have as big a gap as you can so you can capitalise when it comes to pit stops. The only thing that he'll be hating now is if there's a safety car, because that draft gap will disappear in the space of no time. I think. Do we have a safety car?
Oh, I think we do.
Stephen McCartney's.
He is.
He's leading the pit lane.
There's the car right there.
He's parked it in the tyre bundle.
I don't know if he's parked
Scott
it
Perrins.
or wedged it.
He's absolutely wedged.
He is
I
not
cannot
coming
see
out of
the
there.
right front.
Those,
So I hope that's not coming out of pit lane.
that's going in. Oh no!
Well, no, that's on the out.
Yeah, it's on the outside of wall. It
It's where you
is.
cut back inside the wall. So the only reason why that wall only starts there is because of the NASCAR oval. If cars are sideways, you don't want them running into a sharp wall there. As we get a replay of what's happened here to Scott Perrins. He's already in the tyre bundle.
Oh, here we go. Hang on.
It says he was in the pits, but so it's on the run in. So has he locked the rears? He has. He's just pinched the rears, and it's just straight lined it into the tyre bundle. So there's no contact. It's just under braking himself. Watch for the shift lights on the dash. You'll just be able to see them just a little bit when they go. No, didn't quite see them, but definitely lock the rears. I hope that wasn't maybe even a hardware failure. It looked like he definitely had gears, so maybe not a hardware failure. I think the other camera angle we can look at is maybe the cockpit cam or the driver's eye cam, whichever one you want to call it. But yeah, just locks the rears at the critical part of the stop and ends up beelining it straight into the tyre bundle there, which sees a lot of action in any road series that's run here. So we'll have a look here and see. So he does pull sixth. Just drop that camera down. So at the top of the... So he's lifted. Under brakes. There's hardly any warning that he's locked the rears. Like there's no lock lights or anything come up, which should normally come up as a spectator for us. But he's wedged himself there. So as we were talking about, unfortunate moments. I think Tim Nichols, so Tim Nichols ducked in the pits. So he's taking the first stop here, which is early to say the least. We've had Tim Nichols, Ty Delaney, Adam Hughes, Marty Hansen. Well, actually, I can tell you who hasn't pitted, and that's Petar Pavlovich, Travis Daly, Steven Sinkovic running up in third place. Well done, Steven. That's definitely down to just safety car and pit lane strategy. And the other one who hasn't stopped is Scotty Van Loon, who's up 13 spots into 8th. So all those stops seem to be fairly standard. Sort of 13, 12, 12, 15 seconds was an outlier, I think, for Marty Hansen, and there's a couple of 11-second stops further back down the field. So that'll just come down to fuel burn. But I think it actually probably works in favour of Petar Pavlovich here to not have stopped the field, bunching back up under safety car. The only thing that works against him, though, is being the leader of the pack when we go green again shortly. I think we might have one more lap behind safety car here. Safety car doesn't look like it's accelerating away from the field or pulling down into pit lane yet. So we'll definitely have one more lap under safety car. Scott Perrins is out of the pits. Or is he? He still says he's in the pits. So maybe he's probably got the tow time to wait out. But we might see him rejoin the track shortly. Jake Edwards is ducking into the pits here for what seems to be a second stop. So maybe that's just a splash, given where he is in the field. Just get himself a little bit more fuel margin. Try and help himself out towards the end. So, yeah, so he's going to drop down to the back of this field. Scott Perrins is back out on track now, but he won't be able to get his lap back or catch up with the back of the pack because I think we're going to go racing next time by. Edwards, he's still stationary at the moment.
Been in the pits for 44 seconds so far.
And still getting service, so... from what I'm seeing, he's done 30 seconds. Yeah, so a 32-second stop. So I'm not sure if that might have been... did he take his fast repair and then maybe cop some more damage? That's why he's so far down, and that's why it was a longer stop. Or did he decide to take tyres at this stop again and top up with as much gas as he could and then get going again? He is the first of our 2 stoppers, though, but he's probably going to have to make 3 to get home. I don't know if they're going to be able to save 25-ish minutes of fuel by the time we go green for the rest of this race. It'll be tight, but if we don't go green this lap, then I think it starts to fall back into the hands of Petar Pavlovich. Sorry, back into the hands of Tim Nichol there. But it's difficult to say. I think the big thing for Tim, though, is to get up onto the back of Petar Pavlovich and then probably just sit there, try and buy himself some fuel margin. And then as soon as Petar hits, then you can start to think about running as hard and fast as you can, knowing that you've probably got a pit stop up your sleeve. But what I would say is that if there is another safety car after this start, is duck into the pits, take fuel, because we are going to go green this time by. You can see how our safety car driver, Stefan McCartan, has gassed it up. It's pulling away from the field here. If you're Tim Nichol, I would do what Petar does if there's a safety car. Leader's been held to maintain, I think it's 90 kilometres an hour. You can see the front 3 there, right up behind. Petar has control of the field when the safety car enters pit lane, which it has now. So it's at his discretion, and I think if he's smart, he holds all the way as long as he can.
He's gone. He's gone.
He's gone early.
Yep.
So I think the important thing to remember here is that last corner is considered a corner, and he's left everyone for dead. And that's actually worked out really well for him because he's got no threat from behind at the moment. Going early and people just not predicting the jump worked out well for him. Tim Nicol needs to try and get past Evan Singovich as quick as he can. He needs to get back onto the back of these guys in front to really stand a chance about really upsetting their strategy here. Cars look like they're getting through turn 1 nice and clean.
As we see Cowan go off track.
No, Cowan's gone off track. Does pull it up. Nice.
Bradley Wall here battling with Mark Peck. Go side by side. Wall has got the inside line. Oh, a bit loose on the rear end. This is bringing Hodgkinson in on this battle as well. Going for the
it goes to switchback.
The switchback, that's what it's called. The crisscross. Is it a crisscross, a switchback?
Crisscross switchback. I don't know what you want to call it, but it doesn't quite work out for him. You try and tighten up that the apex too much. What that done is he's just run a bit deep into turn 6 and has invited Hodgkinson up through. So that's not ideal at all. Steven Singovich is dropped back down now into what position is that? Can't quite see. Down in the 6th spot.
There is a lot of overtakes happening. Cowan just got around Taylor as we are on the tyre.
Adam Hughes. On with Ty Delaney.
That's the one.
I'll correct you there. I'll save you. Ty does have the slipstream from the car in front. Adam Hughes looking for the move around the outside. He's got a little bit of a slipstream. Travis Daly now looking around the outside of Tim Nicol.
Oh, Patar really squirrely on the brakes, and you can see how quick.
Oh, Travis Daly just picks up the throttle a bit, fishtails out of that corner. Sort of makes the cars behind check up a bit. Tim Nicol now trying to get back onto the back of Petar Pavlovich. This is exactly where he needs to be. Although, if I was him, I'd stay there. I'd stay there. Use him to punch a bit of hole in the air, because you know you've made your stop. Oh, Petar's off.
Oh, he's off.
Petar's run deep.
Oh no, he's dropping positions down into 6th so far. 7th now. Needs to get back on the track safely. 11th, 12th. This is not good. This is not what we wanted to see.
Maybe this is tyres coming into play now. Having fresh tyres on has just sort of hurt him a little bit. Those tyres going through a heat cycle. Not sure if iRacing's tyre modelling is that accurate. Oh, Ty Delaney there looked like he'd lost the rear, but just cuts back down to the left-hand side. Tries to brake as late as he can. But Adam Hughes has managed to get a run. Cuts back down beneath him. Can't quite get the move done. Ty does have a bit of draft assistance from the front. But here we go. Adam Hughes coming back at him now. Crisscross racing. Try and send it around the outside later on the brakes. Take a wider apex, try and take a little bit of an earlier apex, wider entry, a little bit of an earlier apex. Try and see if he can't get benefit out of that. Running up now to the International Horseshoe, goes outside.
Notice that wider entry is much easier to defend for the car in front, because they know as they go wide, they're going to have a tighter exit. And usually if they're sitting tight on the entry, they're going to want to hold a tighter exit anyway. So it's much easier for them to keep their car there.
Travis Daly just locked the inside front. No harm at the moment.
Got to get back to the back of the pack, mate. There is battles going on. Sipple, Edwards, Douglas, Vigar, Pavlovich. There is battles left, right, and centre back here.
Edwards has done well so far to get himself back up to where he is after that that strategic pit stop, I'd say. So he's a smoky at the moment in terms of how the rest of the field filters out with fuel. He's got the lap better. Even though that lap was under safety car, he's got a fair bit more fuel to use. Bus stop again.
Or was closing that gap on Hodgkinson there. Oh, no, we got a Nickel and Daly side by side.
It's probably what Tim Nickel doesn't want. But at the same time, Travis Daly still has to make a stop. Tyler Laney's just on the fastest lap of the race at a 45.1.
Is that the quickest lap of the session period?
I'm not 100% sure who have we got in the pits at the moment. We've got Travis Nielsen in the pits. Still a couple of cars not to stop. What Tim Nickel will be hoping for here is that Travis Daly and Ty Delaney go at it. Ty's obviously got pace in hand at the moment, given that he's just done his fastest lap of the race out of all drivers. But Travis Daly in front, his best lap was on that last lap as well, only 0.03 slower. So both of those cars going at it. Tim Nickel doesn't really have the pace to match at the moment, but I think that's down to not having a slipstream, which is hurting him a bit. Nielsen did a 9.8 second stop, so I wonder if that was just top up of fuel. Probably didn't take tyres in that time frame though. Although he has already stopped once, so maybe that was fuel. Maybe this is a strategic play to get himself a chance of getting further back up the field. Although, yeah, he's moving again. Thought he just glitched out a bit. But they're down to 21st at the moment. The only disadvantage is that he doesn't have any slipstream to work with. So he's sort of a sitting duck at the moment. Well, Travis Nielsen is sort of glitching in and out. As you see a replay here of Bradley Wall duck out at the last possible moment to go for a move into the chicane. This is where is Hodgkinson behind.
Yeah, he actually just made the move on Hodgkinson to move up into P8 there. Been battling with Callan over the last couple of laps. Just managed to get around him. And Jason Douglas has snuck through there as well.
I think what happened there was Bradley Wall had a little bit of a moment getting on throttle, and Callan had to just lift out of the throttle, and that's invited Jason Douglas to just plop his car in the spot and get up through. But Jason got a little bit taily on the exit there off the International Horseshoe. So we jump back to the lead pack at the moment. Tim Nickel has got 1.1 over Ty Delaney, who's now past Travis Daly. So Travis a little bit squirrely. You can just see on the onboard there the blue and black Mustang battling with Adam Hughes in that red and black ZB Commodore for Crisscross Racing. You can see here, look at how close he gets. He almost wipes the badge off his ZB Commodore as he runs alongside him. I don't know if Travis was just lifting and, Adam Hughes was just maybe lifting and coasting a little bit there. Decided to sit in behind. He's got the run here now though. Gets the nose up the inside before Travis can cut back down and cover.
Oh, there's big contact.
Travis has moved down too early.
How did Hughes hold on to that?
Hughes saved that?
No way.
The hand of God has saved him from going spiraling out of track limits.
What was that?
Travis Daly might have got the clear call and it's just come down. There's contact. Adam Hughes has saved it. He's just grazed the wall with the rear of the car, which is rotate it back, throws in some opposite lock and just catches it.
Get out of here. What in the world was that?
And then Hughes is struggling here. I think that damage might be hurting him a little bit. Although Travis has redressed in behind him, so the only disadvantage is that Marty Hansen has got up past him now. It looked like there was a bit of a move there going on. But we've jumped back to Jason Douglas getting around
too many
Bradley Wall, I think.
But Hansen has got around Hughes as well. So many battles happening across the track tonight. Fantastic to see. Hughes is not going to let Hansen take that position that easy. I just don't think there's time for replays, mate. We'll just leave the replays alone.
Just leave it for a little bit. Yeah, it's all going on. I mean, these sort of slipstream moves are interesting in all those changes of position, but it's going to be the pattern of the race. So we do need to get a replay on some interesting stuff. Let's jump to it. It's when they're in the infield that things get a little bit more hairy. Although in saying that, who would have expected that Adam Hughes would save that then from Travis Daly? Stewards will probably have a look at that though. Overall, as Travis Daly gets up around the outside of Marty Hansen here. Marty Hansen gets the benefit of the slipstream. I think that damage might be hurting Adam Hughes' top straight line speed though. But Ty Delaney has managed to open up that gap but close it to Tim Nichols to be right up behind him. So this is effectively for the lead of the race going up the front if they can make the fuel last.
It's Hodgkinson, Cowan and Edwards all battling into turn one there. Heavy under the brakes. Cowan is getting harassed by the Crisscross Racing team right now.
A couple of drivers in the pits at the moment in Sippel and Van Loon and Perrins.
So Sippel has had a incident where he was off track and then didn't rejoin again for about 15 seconds later. So good chance he's actually done a bit of damage and needs to get in there as Jake Edwards get a way better run out of there. He's going to hold the low line. Cowan is going to be right next to him. This is some extremely close racing. Does side draft play as big impact in the V8s down something like this as NASCAR?
I think side draft is still a very, very viable option in terms of defending your position or battling with someone. Because side draft effectively, if I get somewhat scientific with you all here, basically at the front of the cars, their aerodynamics create a bow wave effectively. So there's this air that's being pushed forward. And what actually happens is the car that's further back on the inside is gathering a lot of that air to the front of their car, which is sort of disrupting their bow wave, which is allowing them to move forwards relative to the car in front. But when you get ahead, the car who's now behind on the other side, who was in front, if you can do that with your hands or imagine it, then that has changed. The other car then has the same effect. So then they get sucked back up next to you. So it's really good for keeping cars side by side, but when you get to a braking zone, it's really the car on the inside who's going to get the most benefit. But it can do enough to get you up alongside far enough when you're on a road course like this to get that benefit.
Well, you're getting scientific with us, mate, and thanks for all your knowledgeable input. For all of us, including myself, Jake Edwards actually managed. Andrew Cowan had made a small mistake, which allowed Jake Edwards to sneak his way through, which now that puts Andrew Cowan from Performance Sim Racing in a crisscross sandwich. And again, you can see Cowie's car just getting a little unsettled in the rear end as he came out of that corner. Marty Hansen, with so many battles.
Travis just into the rear going into the bus stop.
This one.
By the way, and he's got past. Did I miss that? Was that also was being all scientific and pseudo-larco with you? Know what was going on?
Delaney has got around Nichols. I do have a replay as we see Marty Hansen. He's into the pits. He's into the pits. I was like, he's slowing down fast.
Oh, no. Oh, how has he saved that?
That's two phenomenal saves this race. Harlon Motorsports actually dropped in and said, Adam Hughes can't send it turn one, but can save a slide. That was epic. Yes, it was, mate, and I'm hoping for an awesome overtake here from Ty Delaney on Tim Nichol. This is the move for Delaney to take P1.
Delaney's just got so much more speed. One of those fishy guys.
Outside.
One of those fishy guys have given him a car with less downforce than what Tim Nichols got. Just given how easy that move looks. I mean, it all comes down to you running out of your bus stop. If you get a mega run out of the bus stop, that speed difference, it's massive. So But what's happened here? Travis Daly has been jumped in the pit stops. So there's a race control message underneath our pit stops there. I can't read that.
Yeah, I've got to fix that. Sorry, guys. But I've got the message in front of me. It says car 216, which is Petar Pavlovich, has received a drive-through penalty for contact on lap 13, turn 3. So disappointing to see Petar Pavlovich so far back down the field now, as he was leading the way and looking pretty comfortable. Biggest movers and shakers at the moment. Rick Vigor for... Can't remember who he drives for. Does he have a team? Actually, that's a good question.
Doesn't come up with one on the screen, but...
He's up 14 positions into 6th place. He is your biggest mover of the race so far. And unfortunately, your biggest shaker is Petar Pavlovich, who is down 15 spots from that pole position start. We see Vigor here with Bradley Wall.
Around the outside again. It's going to come down to who's strongest under brakes. Oh, no way Yang's around the outside. He's just got to have some overlap to get the space. Doesn't quite have it, so has to tuck back in behind, but I'm sure that he'll look for a move. Bradley goes very defensive. Run around to Weston and Douglas here. Douglas, as soon as he gets clear, cuts back down to cover, but at the same time, that gives Weston just enough of a slipstream there to stay right on the back.
I've thanked a lot of people tonight, and Thomas, mate, I just want to thank you for coming on board with the V8 Supercars AM series, because thank gosh you're here. There is so much for me to do in the background. I think I'm forgetting to talk, and your sweet, sultry voice and all your knowledge is just blowing across the broadcast, mate. So thank you for coming on board, a part of SRW TV, and joining me for the simrigs.com V8 Supercars. Again, a thank you to all our viewers for dropping in on your favourite broadcast, guys. I want to give yourselves a huge pat on the back as we see Jake Edwards and Brett Taylor battling it out on screen. If you are enjoying the broadcast tonight, leave a like for the drivers out on track, because our amateur series is turning out to be an absolute cracker thanks to simrigs.com. Ty Delaney's in the pits. Oh, wow, look at that. Jeez, we're in sync.
Yeah, I think this will be based on fuel loads, on the fact that you won't be able to get home. But we've got these two cars.
Oh my gosh, Rick Vigor looked like he was pulling a fake into the pits then, and Jake Edwards was so close. I think he changed his mind at the last minute and did actually put himself into the pits. That definitely looked like a fake.
I think Rick was definitely going in the pits, and just Jake was just looking for that draft assistance to get himself around. Scott Weston and Travis Daly here. Travis around the outside on the brakes, does pull it up, hits the apex, does make that move stick. Going to be interested to see where Ty Delaney pops out in all of this. Popped out in front of Travis Daly. So Travis Daly made that lap 15 pit stop. Ty 2 laps later. Ty only had a 9-second pit stop. So that's the net gain in the end, is to be... He's almost 10 seconds in front though. That's a long way in front at the moment. I'm waiting to see what Tim Nicol does, because he's got Marty. Basically all the cars behind him up until Jake Edwards have done one stop. Jake Edwards made that strategic second stop. Marty Hansen's got past Tim Nicol though, out up in front. That'll be with draft assistance. It's not quite done. So Tim does peel into the pits here.
Now.
Oh, he's locked up. Oh, I hope he pulled that up.
Yeah, that wouldn't want a IRacing penalty right now for speeding in the pits. That is not something you're going to want.
We'll just keep our eye on Ty Delaney here, where he comes out relative to where Tim Nicol does. I obviously had that 3-second lead, so he's going to find a big benefit. So he comes around now to the tri-oval.
Tim Nicol is still in his pit stall at this moment. see
So
down
Ty-
there. 10 seconds in the pit stall for Nichols.
Yeah, so Ty, massive gain. Tim's not going to be able to get onto the back of him now. Does he come out in front of Travis Daly, though? I think he will. But if Tim has taken tyres, Travis will have warmer tyres. Might be able to look at making a move, but so close that draft is just going to be the biggest assistance here. Don't have long left in this race.
Oh gosh, 4 minutes to go. Wow, that time has flown. You can also see now across your timing tables, the gaps due to all the changes of pit stops has actually spread the field out quite a bit. Marty
Rick Vigor made a 5.97 pit stop.
Splash and dash.
Splash and dash from Rick Vigor has
Massive
put him
splash
12
and dash.
spots up into 8th place at the moment. So he does have Mark Peck behind him. He's going to be challenging him coming into the rest of this race. Marty Hansen has just ducked into the pits. I think Adam Hughes will follow. Interesting one to see will be Jake Edwards. Has he got himself enough fuel with that strategic pit stop to leave himself with a chance of winning this race?
So there's Hughes in. That's the wrong part of the track, Shibby. He's gone past. He is still out. Edwards coming down now. He's gone past as well.
So Edwards, I think, might be close to making this work, except for the fact that his tyres will probably be screaming out for help. Ty Delaney closing down that gap now. It's down to 3 seconds. So how much saving is Jake Edwards doing, and how much benefit is Ty Delaney going to find? Joe Mahoney here around the outside off Brett Taylor. Taylor coming back at him, though, with the shorter line, but Joe will hold on. Yep, does hold on through turn 1 here. That gap between Jake Edwards and Ty Delaney down to 2 seconds now. Marty Hansen has popped himself out into 5th, in behind Tim Nichols. So Tim Nichols been able to make hay whilst the sun still shines and open up that gap to Travis Daly, who's having to battle with Scott Weston behind him.
And they're just about 10 seconds off the back of Delaney.
You know what? You know what? Adam Hughes, don't pit.
Oh no, he's going to get the white flag. If he's got 2 tanks left.
He's going to get the white flag, and he's got 12 seconds.
He can do
12 and a half seconds.
As long as he's got 2 tanks of fuel left, he'll be able to do it. The only worry is if he makes it through to the cool-down procedure. There's a certain set point on the track where the drivers must make it to before their car stops or runs out of fuel, preferably if they can make it back to the pits. The worst case scenario is he gets a rear of grid for next race, as we see Travis Daly wanting to get another position before the end of this race.
Has he taken the white flag?
I don't see white flag yet, but I would assume... Oh, a bit of a squirrel as we jump on board.
Has he taken white flag?
I don't see white flag appeared yet.
We're definitely a time race, aren't we?
Barney is waving that white flag. He is waving that white flag. This is final lap. Closest battle on screen at the moment, Bradley Waugh and Jason Douglas battling it out for P10. Travis
Ty Delaney and Jake Edwards.
Delaney has dropped that gap to 1.2 seconds. Not sure if it's going to be enough. You can see him.
Slipstream assistance. And how much fuel has Jake Edwards got? Is Jake Edwards having to do any lift and coast? So he's going to get a little bit of slipstream assistance, but how much save does Jake Edwards have to do? I'm still dumbfounded at how Adam Hughes is still going, although that...
Oh, listen, he's on the clutch.
Doing big lift and coasts.
Big on the clutch, yep.
It's down to within a second. Oh, he's run a little bit wide.
Delaney could get this. This is going to be extremely close.
Adam Hughes is going to come across to take the checkered flag after one stop under safety car when no one else could make it. He wins the feature race here at Daytona in Supercars AMs.
Oh! Ty was going for it. Right up to the last split second of the race, Ty was going for it. He didn't manage to take it.
It was a 10th of the line. Has Jake got fuel? I don't think he does.
He was definitely. His car is still running at the moment.
He's coasting in second gear, though.
Yeah. Oh no, she's
Scott Weston and Travis Daly. Scott Weston has pipped him. I've just looked up and seen the gap at 0 when they've crossed the line.
Oh, there's 3 here. There's 3 of them.
Oh no, we need to go back to that sideways on the start-finish line.
What? That was insane.
Here we go. Get the slow-mo out.
Did I go back far enough? I don't know if I went.
Is that Marty Hansen running in front?
I don't know if I went back far enough then. Oh,
there it is.
Lord. Come on, ShiBBy. How long have you been doing this for?
Here we go.
Oh!
Scott Weston pips Travis Daly by a lick of paint at the line to come home in P6. But Adam Hughes definitely must. He's definitely coasting here to try and get home so that he can be classified as finishing the race. Jake Edwards, though, is slowly making his way around the track. He's only at the kink in the infield.
Tell you what, it's sorry to interrupt you. I'd just like to throw a huge shout out to the crisscross guys, because there was, over the last many seasons, only one crisscross driver in the V8s, and now they're all sort of started slowly coming out and filling the fields of V8. So great to see drivers that aren't usually suited or comfortable driving a V8 getting out here in the AM series and giving it a go.
So, Adam Hughes, do you have enough fuel to give us some victory burnouts on the start-finish line? Hell, give us victory burnouts in the grass.
It's Daytona. You've got to be on the grass.
Someone tell him.
On the grass. What are you doing, mate? You can't pit.
Burnouts in the grass.
Edwards is in and Delaney's in. There's no burnout. Someone get out there and do a burnout on the grass. Joe Mahoney, if you're watching this, I give you permission. No one has done a victory burnout. That is the most disappointing end to a race.
Oh, have we got like a finish period? Yeah, like another session after this?
Top 1, 2, and 3.
Burnouts?
No, once they're in the pits, they're in the pits. Only top 1, 2, and 3 are officially allowed to do celebratory burnouts. But I feel like Callan, your teammate won. Get out there, Callan. Go on. I give you permission. I can't really give these guys permission. I'm just hoping. But no Daytona burnouts for your simrigs.com V8 Supercars AM series.
After the race, too. The race that we had.
Oh, my God.
So there's still a couple of things that I'm still questioning, but we'll go through our provisional results here, and we'll get our provisional podium in to have a chat shortly. Adam Hughes comes home after one stop under that safety car period, managed to save enough fuel to get himself all the way back to the pit lane on that formation lap. So by my reckoning, he should be fine with bringing home the P1 tonight for Crisscross Racing. His teammate comes home P2 provisionally. I don't think he made it back to pit lane, so the stewards and race control will definitely have a look at that and look at the rule book and make sure what next to do. Ty Delaney comes home P3, almost catching Jake Edwards at the line. We saw how close that was. Tim Nicol in P4 after leading most of the race to make a late pit stop, which ended up being a long pit stop. or a longer pit stop. Comes on P4 just outside the podium. Marty Hansen, Scott Weston and Travis Daly neck and neck at the line. Scott Weston gets P6 by a lick of paint. Well, that's not paint on these cars. It's a wrap, but, a little bit of a thicker sticker and he gets home. Rick Vigor in 8th, up 12 spots. Well done to him. Mark Peck in 9th. Jason Douglas comes home in 10th. Bradley Wall, Andrew Cowan, Joe Mahoney, Callan Hodgkinson, Brett Taylor. Scotty Rattler, Van Loon, Troy Sipple, Petar Pavlovich after starting from the pole with a penalty has dropped himself down 17 spots, unfortunately, into 18th. Steven Sinkovic was running up in P3 for a little while there, had to make a pit stop and has ended up P19. Scott Perrins in 20th and Travis Nielsen, the last of our finishers, in P21. Geez, what a race.
Was a race. Is that all of them? Yeah, so Travis Nielsen and Mark Turner. I don't know if he managed to see the track tonight, but was registered for the session. But, mate, that was a phenomenal race for your simrigs.com V8 Supercars Amateur Series here at round 4, thanks to Warren and Brown at Daytona Road. We will be moving on to your interviews. They are already there waiting for us. If you would like to bring in P3, mate, which it does look like what is shown on the screen is how they are going to finish for 1, 2, and 3. So we will start with the junior fish, Ty Delaney.
Hello.
Hey, mate. How you feeling after that race, buddy?
Yeah, pretty good. Very excited. That was a very close race.
Have you raced on Daytona before in any other vehicles?
I have once in an LMP1, but that didn't last long.
That didn't last long, so I'm assuming tonight was much of a better result than the LMP racing.
Yeah, definitely.
What was your wing setup on this car?
To be honest, I've got no clue.
No clue? Dad just loads up a setup and says, go hard, son?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mate, that was some phenomenal driving to finish up in P3. You were within the top 10 pretty much that whole race. Was there any sort of difficulties you sort of felt tonight, especially being Daytona and V8 Supercars and quite a large pack? Sort of, what was the biggest struggle tonight to get yourself up to P3?
The biggest struggle was just probably the track. I didn't have much practice in the supercar coming into the race, so I didn't have very high expectations for the start of qualifying, but I did pretty good, I reckon.
Mate, you did great, and we were talking about this through the race as well. Just because you set a fast lap in qualifying doesn't mean you're going to be fast in the race, mate, and I think tonight you have definitely proven that.
Yeah, there's a lot of difference between the race and qualifying, but always go try your best.
That's right, mate. Are you enjoying the larger fields that the AM series are starting to bring in now?
Oh yeah, they're heaps of fun. Just very close racing. It's, best fun you can have.
I think for the whole race, apart from maybe the last 4 minutes, 20 cars were just a train around Daytona tonight. Did you feel the pressure from some of these, quite experienced drivers bearing down on you?
Yeah, there was a lot of drafting to this entire race, and all the quick drivers were just trying to get past, and I was trying to hold off.
Well, mate, you have done a phenomenal job tonight, and it's great to see you starting to pull more podium finishes, mate. I think being a part of the Fishy Boys and being the junior Delaney has definitely got its benefits, mate. But hands down, your driving is getting better and better week in, week out, mate. So huge congratulations for P3 tonight. I'm sure Fishy Motorsports team is absolutely stoked with that, mate.
Thank you.
And, of course, mate, it is now your turn. had your car covered up the whole time with the race results. And there is Ty Delaney's car on screen now for the Fishy Motorsports, mate. It is all in your hands to shout out the sponsors and supporters that make it possible for you to turn up and race.
Oh God, you're going to put a lot of pressure on me now. I'd like to thank Parramatta Peugeot Professional, Parramatta Great Wall Haval, West End Mazda, DC Shades, Relax, Infinity Designs, Battery Warehouse, and Restable Fishy Motorsports.
There you go, mate. I reckon Dad wrote that down for you, didn't he? He's got a little list there.
Yeah, we've got a sheet with all the sponsors on it.
Mate, I have to do the same for our sponsors for SRW. It is better to be prepared than ill-prepared. So, again, mate, congratulations. Absolutely great driving. And I look forwards to seeing you back out here on Sunday for the Pro-Am series, mate. So go and get that practice in and come back out here and let's see another podium finish. You reckon you can hit a podium with the big boys on a Pro-Am?
Hopefully.
Few more seasons, mate, and I definitely think you're up there. Congratulations again, Ty. Go and enjoy the celebrations.
Cheers.
Wow, great racing for young junior Ty here. I do believe he is still only 13 years old and out here absolutely tearing it up with some of the most experienced drivers out on track. As we move on to P2, Jake Edwards from Crisscross Racing.
How are we, boys?
Oh, you are there. That's good. Thanks for dragging me in, Thomas. I was too busy updating the overlay.
No, that's all right.
Mate, 3 crisscross drivers out on the V8s. What is happening?
I don't know. Husey just messaged me during the week and he was like, mate, you need to sign up for this. It's just good fun. So then I was like, you know what? Stuff it. We'll enter a car and we'll have a gander.
And is it good fun?
Mate, it's unreal, eh? You think it's like I'm trying to drive like it's a GT3 car and I'm just struggling, man. Just every time out of a corner, just my foot's like to the floor and I'm just wheel spinning. It's unbelievable.
I've seen that across a few cars tonight, especially up in Daytona as you come around turn 6 out onto that embankment. What was that like, taking that for the first time in the V8?
I think first time I did it, I looped it probably, I did it like a full 360 and I was just like, wow, this is not for me.
Was that during practice or was that
that was during practice, yeah.
Did you do any standing starts on the embankment to practice the standing start? You know,
no, I let Adam Hughes be the guinea pig for that one, and then he told me what to do, so I just followed his steps.
Amazingly, everyone had a phenomenal start in the heat and the feature. It's very rare that we don't see at least 3 or 4 V8s just spin around off the start, but everybody tonight just had great starts.
Oh, that's what you want, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Part of me is like, no.
You want to see the big shunts.
Oh, mate. Thomas, you got any questions for Jake?
Mate, I was a little confused, I'll be honest, when you came in and you did that little strategic second stop under the safety car, but that seemed to work out well for you to catch back up to the field and then run yourself up in a second, but you seem to use a bit more fuel than what you're expecting. Race control reports just come through and you've got a rear of grid start for cool down procedure, but unfortunate moments aside, did you have to do a whole lot of fuel saving to make it to the end?
I think my spotter was telling me that to put in at least, I think I had to save maybe 3/4 of a lap to make it to the end. So yeah, it was a pretty big fuel save, and I knew that tyre was coming pretty hot, man, on me. So I had to do it pretty quick. That way I could save that little bit, and then just try and get to the end in front of him.
Yeah, we only just by a 10th, mate, and that was I was thinking if he's saving, he's got to save a lot and you managed to just pip him at the end. Were you clutch in pretty much all the way once you got past pin entry and all the way around?
Much. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Well, we didn't me and Hughesy, we didn't start fuel saving until about like 5 laps to go because my spotter, he just randomly checked and he goes, "Oh, bro, you're gonna need to save like 0.6, 0.7 of fuel," and we're like, "Holy hell!"
That's a lot of fuel to
clutch in. Yeah,
yeah. No, well, good job tonight, mate. I suppose anyone you want to thank from any of your sponsors or anything like that, you've got the mic.
I'll let old mate Hughesy do that in the next one. But I'll just thank
opportunities to shout out sponsors too.
Nah, it's all Hughesy, mate. He loves it. I'll thank my spotter Jared anyway for giving me that good fuel straight up the end, man. If it wasn't for him, I would have been pitting and I probably would have finished down in the order. So big shout out to him. Well done, mate. Next week we're off to Suzuka. Have you done much practice around there? I have not cut a lap yet, mate. So I've got a busy week.
Busy week in front of you. Well, good luck with your practice, mate, and hopefully you can surge your way through the field next week with the unfortunate rear grid. But that's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles, and we'll see you back on track next week.
That's it, man. Too easy. Cheers, boys.
All right, we're going from P2 to P1. Both crisscross racing drivers this week. A bit odd seeing crisscross racing starting to dominate the AM series, but I don't think it's going to be for much longer. Hey, Mr. Hughes.
G'day.
You didn't hear any of that, did you?
I did.
Mate, you keep putting in these phenomenal drives in this V8 Supercar, mate. I think we're gonna see you moving up into the Pro AM series.
I hope not, because
you can't race on a Sunday.
No, I can race on a Sunday. I haven't got the pace for Pro. Like, I've got the consistency for AM to make me up at the front, but I just haven't got the outright pace like some of these guys do. Like Ty Delaney's got mad pace just overall, but I think I've just got him on consistency. It's just that's what saved me tonight. 100% just saved me. But if I go to Pro, I'll do it, but I'll probably get spanked around in Pro though, to be fair.
You're definitely not outclassing the AMs. They are making it very difficult for you from the start to the finish. It's not like you're easily winding everybody up and getting around them and off and you go. You are constantly stuck in mid battles, trying to get yourself through to the front of the pack. How are you experiencing like being out there with 22 other AM drivers coming from the GT3s?
That's actually really good. All of them are really fair and race hard, and there's no malice or anything. They're all really good. Like not one single bad thing to say about anyone, because like 20 cars, 20 plus cars tonight is like Daytona's big, but like 20 cars around there's even bigger. Like, it's pretty massive for supercars and for AM to show up like this. So it's just been absolutely dynamite.
And I think for what it was like, let's say like 96% of the race, hey Thomas, all 20 cars were just a train. There was barely 2 seconds gap between all 20 cars. It was just a massive train over Daytona, and it looked phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. If you fell out of the line or missed a marker and you fell out of the train, you had to hope to cross that you didn't fall behind. Otherwise, if you got out of the train, you were actually going to fall back to the next pack, because it's just like NASCAR, but just with a bit more downforce.
Got any questions for Mr. Adam Hughesy Hughes, Thomas?
Look, I was skeptical you were going to make it home with that one stop, but it worked out in your favour. Jake was saying it was like, with 5 laps to go, it was like, you probably should do a bit of save, boys. Yeah, the spotter to him. So, how much were you clutching in on that last 2 laps, mate?
Do you want the honest truth?
Yes.
Yes.
I think out of, say, like argument's sake, there's 14 corners here. I think I was clutching in about 12 of them. And like I was probably losing 20 seconds a lap to it, 15 to 20 seconds a lap to it, just to get that fuel back, because we weren't going to pit originally. We were just going to go balls to the wall like everyone else. And then Jared Farrell, who's like one of the guys that we stashed up on COD with and iRacing with, he jumped in. He's like, "Oi, boys, you know, like if you play it right and you fuel save like X amount, like to the end, you don't actually have to pit, and everyone else around you isn't doing that. They're just going balls to the wall." So he's like, you need, like, say, argument's sake, 3 laps. We had like 2.4 or 2.5 on board. He's like, just fuel save. Everyone else is pitting, and surely enough, everyone in front, behind us, that being myself and Jake, they just darted off in the pits, and we're like, oh, we could actually be on here for a 1-2 here, boys. So I crossed the line with 0.4 of a litre, and I got back into the pits with 0.1 going into 0. So it was close. I mean, very, very bloody close.
Yeah, I was watching it and watching you just slowly make your way around the banking, and then it looked like you sort of picked up the throttle just to be able to get through the bus stop without holding anyone up, and then you were clutching again all the way to the line, all the way to pit lane on the cool down lap. So well done to you for estimating that to perfection, even though it was a bit of shithousery that got you there. I suppose we asked Jake if he wanted to thank any sponsors, and he said he'll leave it to you. So the mic is yours to go for it. And yeah, who do you want to thank, mate?
Obviously you guys for tonight for hosting the comms part of it. So appreciate it for you guys. I'm sure it was a lot of fun from your end. Huge shout out to the boys at CXR, Stefan the Calves, or Big Calves McCartan.
What? It's Milk Carton.
Well, we've named him the Calves because we met in real life at the Bathurst 12 hour, and the size of the calves on him is ginormous. Like, it looks like he's like calf raising like 300 kilo.
Jeez, mate.
They're ginormous. Huge shout out to Shunt Scenery, Palmerston Bakery, Jennifer Russell Real Estate, Paul Master Bayside, Doomed Works, and Game Changer. And obviously to Barb's, to Tyson Styles. Huge, massive shout out to Jared Farrell for coming in when he did and telling us to fuel save, because we could be on for a W, which ended up working out pretty well, I think, in the end. And obviously shout out to Brad Newman, Jared Filsell, and Dylan Shepherd. So yeah.
Did I hear a sponsor called Doomed something?
Yes, you would have. Doomed Works.
Doomed Works, mate. What do they do?
They are our designer. He is an American-based individual. His name's Tyler Schwartz. He makes all our liveries for all the cars that we need for SRW, or for just a general sort of update every now and then.
Well, there you go, guys. If you're looking for a new livery, go and jump on board. Does he have a Facebook page or an Instagram or something that he can be contacted through?
I believe he does. I think it's just called Doomed or Doomed Works, if I remember correctly. I'll have to double check that for you. I thought you were going to ask another sponsor. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be able to give you the exact name and everything, but
I like throwing it out there to new ones I'm hearing, because I'm getting to know, most of the sponsors nowadays. So when I hear a new one, I'm like, oh, let's give them a bit of a spruik. So Doomed Works, everybody, for all your paints and liveries, and I'm assuming they do the design work and everything for you as well. You sort of give them an idea of what you want, and he comes up with something pretty nice looking. And I got to say, the new Crisscross Racing liveries are looking mean. So Doomed Works, guys, for all your paints and liveries, coming from Mr. Adam Hughes, who is your first place in the feature race tonight for round 4 here at Daytona Road. Congratulations, mate. Well done on a 1-2 for you and your team. And we look forward to seeing you back here next week.
Cheers, boys. Not sure how I'll go at Suzuka, but I'll give it a fair dinkum crack. Never driven a supercar around Suzuka. Done GT3, plenty of, but never a supercar, so this could be very much diabolical. You've also barely driven supercars, and now look what you're doing. Well, I'm not gonna lie. First one I think I just got lucky. I think with crashes, and this one we just got super lucky. If there's a word better than lucky, then that's that word, because wow, it just fell into place. Minus a little hiccup on the back straight with myself and 777, and I had that moment.
Well, mate, solid win tonight for you and your team. Congratulations. Go get rested up, mate, and we look forward to seeing you on track again.
No worries. Cheers, fellas. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Well, Thomas, what a race here for the V8 Supercars, simrigs.com. V8 Supercars Amateur Series. Thanks to Warren and Brown for round 4 here at Daytona Road. That was non-stop battles from start to finish. 22 cars across the field tonight. Massive trains, a lot of hard battling. And some interesting fuel saving with that one stop to see Adam Hughes take the win with barely any fuel left, mate. Geez, I wish we could do that all again, but I do believe it is time to wrap up this broadcast. It is huge.
We should do it every week.
Yeah, well, we do it every week, mate, except you missed last week, so you have to go watch VIR. And check that race out because that was phenomenal as well. Huge.
Can we just do Daytona every week?
Just Daytona every week. Yeah, why not? Mix it up a little bit, hey?
Oh, no. Mix it up by doing the oval, and then we'll do the standard road course. Then we can do the NASCAR road course where they throw in another chicane. And then, I don't know if they've got the moto layout, but maybe the moto layout, which has a whole nother section rather than taking the first banking. You do a whole nother section.
Just a Daytona series, period.
Pure Daytona series, and the only thing we change is the cars or, fit set up with max wing.
That could be
for one race.
Actually, we should do that on a Saturday night. We'll throw up a hosted session and just get crazy with Daytona. Yeah. That does sound like a lot of fun. Anyway, guys, if you want to get involved with Sim Racing World, www.simracingworld.com.au. Get over there, register as a driver for free. Check out what we have to offer. Discord link is in the description below, as well as all the links to all our sponsors that help fund this amazing league and our broadcast so we can put this up on your screen for you. Huge shout out to, of course, Simrigs for sponsoring our V8 Supercars, not only the amateur series, but the Pro-Am as well. Massive shout out to round sponsor Warren and Brown tonight. Of course, promo department for our safety car, Racecraft for the qualifying session, Grim Industries, Warren and Brown, and Toyo Sim. And of course, thank you all for joining us tonight. I have been Nathan ShiBBy Howard. The man in the comms box next to me is Thomas Preech Riley. It's been a blast having you on board with the V8 Supercars, mate. Do you want to do Sunday as well? Love to have you on board for Sunday.
Maybe.
You'd have to fight Steve about that one. But that's right. I have been Nathan ShiBBy Howard. This has been Thomas Preech Riley. We are signing off tonight saying stay safe and race hard.